No lie, this morning woke up kinda heavy. Thoughts flooded my brain, almost broke a levee. Let me get steady, let me center myself. Before I do for anybody else, let me consider myself. Check my mental health, self. How's your heart? How you feeling today? What's your capacity for humans? What's your ceiling today? Before you think about them bills, what you building today? Find your flow, don't let them stones they throw get in your way. Weights on my shoulders, let me go to the gym. Let me dig in a good book. Let me find me some gems. Let me replant myself, yeah. Let me water my stem, relate my root chakra. I know that it's been running on E. I've been fuming. Know the vibes godly. Seem like they forgetting that I'm human. Assuming that I don't need solitude and silence. Before I choose violence, I meditate and pray. I went for a walk. I heard the elders say, set yourself down and talk to God. Tell him what's on your mind. I heard the elders say, set yourself down and talk to God. Tell him what's on your mind. I heard the elders say, be still, be free, be real. Your life can change any minute, just let time reveal. I know they watching, waiting for me to fall off. The job saying I ain't got permission to call off. Well, I ain't going to work today, I'm working on me. People calling, I ain't talking phone, I'm D&D. She like, when am I gonna see you? When I'm done seeing me. It's easy for people to gaslight you if you out here living on E. It's time to fill up. You gotta deconstruct to reconstruct. It's time to build up. I took some hard blows, Lord knows, it's time to heal up. No more looking down, nah, chest out, chin up. Life been moving so fast, before I crash, let me slow down and go on the fast. I'm passing on that old leaving that in the past. They ask, hey, where you been? I ain't seen you in the men. Yeah, I've been on my dean, going deeper within, gotta evolve. Don't take it personal, you're more than welcome to get involved. If they ain't what you want, our connection, it might dissolve. What's in the way becomes the way. I went for a walk today. I heard the elders say, set yourself down and talk to God. Tell him what's on your mind. I heard the elders say, set yourself down and talk to God. Tell him what's on your mind. What's that? I heard the elders say, peace, be still my people. Let yourself feel, that's how you heal my people. Pollution in the food, they trying to kill my people. Health is real, wealth is how you build my people. Let's keep it real, my people. It's getting really scary. No more gang banging. We need a military, black missionary. I'm a visionary. I see my people rising. Every time I sit in silence. Set yourself down and talk to God. Heavenly Father, tell him what's on your mind. I pray for my generation. Set yourself down and talk to God. I pray for my people. Tell him what's on your mind. I pray my people rise. Set yourself down and talk to God. I pray we free our minds. Tell him what's on your mind. I pray we find peace inside. Set yourself down and talk to God. Tell him what's on your mind.
All right, now peace and chaos to the family. We are back. How's my YouTube family? Checking in with the YouTube. I see some of the regulars in the chat. Shout out to the regulars. I see Jarvian, Leah, Joseph. I see you in there, Lynn, My Cherry, Ultra Instinct. Yes, that song is by AJ McQueen. It's a new artist I found through someone else who put me on game with it. Y'all follow AJ McQueen on YouTube. The song is called Sit Yourself Down. Yes, sir. I see you up in there, Sherry. All right. Yeah. So we're back. We need to get into some of this information. Just a couple of announcements. We are having the Indigenous Spirituality Conference at the Spinks Paul Spiritual Store here in Columbia, South Carolina on August 16th, Saturday. I've already made this announcement to Patreon. You guys need to come out here if you're in the area. August 16th in a couple of weeks. I know it's short notice. That's why I tell people to stay updated, especially on Patreon. We announced this about a week ago. And this is for the community mainly. But if you're close to the area, if you happen to be passing through, I would advise for you to come out and fellowship with us. We're going to have a lot of information. We got Dr. Angel Green coming to chop up game with crystallography and the pendulum magic aspect. She's a very knowledgeable person into that science, and I would advise for you to hear what she has to say. We also have Dr. Sakima Bey. He specializes in indigenous law. You want to hear what he has to say about the private trust laws and what you're supposed to be doing with trust and everything of that aspect. And we have Brother Aswad bringing the health information. At the end of the flyer here, he's going to bring the different food and herbs that you need to be consuming to keep your body and your spiritual body functioning at a high level. So everyone is going to bring something unique. Of course, I will be presenting a lot of advanced information as well. So August 16th, the Indigenous Spirituality Conference 2025. And I'm hoping to do a spiritual retreat early in 2026. I might hit up Dr. Eileen Bay to see if we can get together and put something together for the family. But if not, we'll have it here in Columbia, South Carolina again. What's up, honey and Janae? I see y'all up in there. And if you haven't heard the Twitter space, make sure you guys go on Twitter space and check out the recent video we did covering Ozzy Osbourne and Malcolm Jamal's death, Malcolm Warner's death, or sacrifice, as I'll say. We did a long Twitter space and we chopped up game about a lot of things happening in the spiritual community. So there's a lot of stuff that you need to hear in that Twitter space to be up on game about. I'm going to go into a little bit of the Ozzy Osbourne, the Hulk Hogan, and Malcolm Warner's death, but we pretty much nailed a lot of that on Patreon and Twitter space. I don't think I spoke about Hulk Hogan, so I'll talk about him today. But make sure you're checking in with the Twitter spaces. If you're not following me on Twitter, follow me at Ani Osaru on Twitter right now so you can be updated. Put my profile on alert because I will be doing another Twitter space this week. We had Dreamwise and Daniel hosting with me in those spaces. A lot of times I have Donut on as well. You want to catch those Twitter spaces, family. You want to catch those Twitter spaces. Nothing like those Twitter spaces. The energy is very different when you get up in there. You know what I'm talking about. All right. What else is going on? Yeah, so like I said, we're going to get into the recent things that happened, and I want to talk about some advanced stuff before we get into all of that. Today's video is called, of course, Blood Magic Decoded, and I think this is a special video to give you some insight on the spiritual aspects you're supposed to be focusing on. I always tell people this channel is not so much completely based on decoding world events, all like that, even though we do a good job at doing it. And a lot of people want to hear that content, and I will get into that content, but you need to be really focusing on your spirituality, yourself, your mind, what type of meditations, paying attention to the astrological transits. I did a few charts this week. Make sure you're getting your charts done as well. StarTribe777 at gmail.com. StarTribe777 if you like to get your transits and your birth chart done. Very important to understand what's happening in your life right now, planetary wise, the grahas wise, and the tithis wise, as Kalini would tell you. It's very important to pay attention to Chandra, the moon cycle, and aspects of how it's having an effect on your spiritual life and physiologically as well. But I had a phone call. I want to shout out Miss Erica. Miss Erica hit me up. Yeah, I think it was yesterday or the day before. I think it was yesterday. And she was telling me how some information was coming through to her from the psilocybin. There's another brother too on Patreon. Brother Soul told me he did about 17 grams of psilocybin over the weekend. So a lot of us in the Soul Tribe are getting active with the psilocybin, which I always tell you, the mycelium is the largest organism on Earth. And its roots stretch deep into the ground, so it gets all of the information from the black sun, the hollow sun, and the hollow earth. So you're able to transmit and get a lot of information that way when you do psychedelics and you go into a psychedelic state. And she was informing me that the Sibyls or the Sibyls are coming back. And I'm going to get into that a little bit. Basically, the oracles are returning. She also was talking to me about the Babylonian god Apsu. You know, Apsu's sleep. If you haven't heard, Apsu is the husband of Tiamat. And when Apsu was put to sleep was when the Titans were put into a physical shell and shut off from the Gnostic monad's mind. So now that activation is starting to occur again, mainly in America. The Sibyls, they were the original Wi-Fi towers of the gods, you know, melanated divine antennas that could pull prophecy straight from the source code. And it's like almost they weren't even reading the future, really. They were already existing non-locally in the future while they were already here. And they streamed straight up a lot of things. They were kind of like in a cosmic Netflix wave band where they could see TV series of events that's happening in future events of the earth. And they were pulling all of those encryptions down while other people are still buffering. They're already tuned in to that frequency. And this was before popes, priests, prophets, the oracles of the Sibyls. They were spitting fire and helping people understand how the ether works for us like the plug, almost in a street terminology, that the plug, and flipping symbols into spell work was what they were doing. That's why this system had to bury them. They couldn't have this black womb tech decoding the matrix out loud. So they were that firmware of fate running on blood memory and trance. Some people call that mythology, or they call it a maintenance in the timeline. But that's why most of the slave women had to wear iron muzzles, or scold bridles was what they were called. They used to put these muzzles on the women. And if they would speak, it would cut their tongue. That would shut down the oracle energy. And it was literally invented to shut down that energy and make it go into the underground hoodoo networks. But suppressing an energy is like stepping on a water hose that's turned all the way up in its valve. So they didn't stop the energy when they suppressed it by putting these slave muzzles on those women. They actually increased it to a further timeline, which is around now. So the blood of the generations carry former generations' torsion field data of trauma and their shadow work and DNA methylation of the alchemical agencies. And we bleed literally the memory of the ancestors, speaking about blood magic. So before blood touches oxygen, it's literally blue-black. Most of the Vedic gods like Vishnu, Krishna, Rama, or Shiva, their depictions are blue-black beings. And if you look into the Ashwini Nakshatra in his lunar mansion, or Chitra or Bharani, the Shakti of Ashwini is to reach things quickly and is governed by Mars while being ruled by Ketu, the tail of the serpent. So when Mars is strong and well placed in someone's chart, that means they coherently in his own sign. When Mars is, well, let me rephrase that. When Mars is strong and placed well in someone's chart, it has to be coherently with its own sign. If it's in their chart, that means it's exalted or it has directional strength. So that means if Mars is strong and well, then that person's blood is more pure than the average person, and it's more driven than the average person. That means that particular being has high vitality and they are decisive with their actions. But when Mars is afflicted in someone's chart by Saturn, Rahu, or a combusted planet, it leads to blood disorders in the person. It also leads to aggression without clarity, violence, or premature ejaculation, ulcers, and autoimmune responses. So that means the ancestors' message gets scrambled when Mars is debilitated through the blood and the genes, because there's crystals in our blood in an eternal geometry in the methylation of our DNA. Now, Mars rules blood and iron. That's Yotish 101. But there's a metaphysical matrix to how it works. Iron equals Mars sacred metal, is used for both its warfare and sealing, like a technology. So you know iron is in the blood. And during the Mayafa, and the Mayafa, if you don't know what that is, it's the transatlantic slave holocaust, iron muzzles were placed on the faces of spiritual women, prophetess, midwives, or singers. See, a lot of those singers too, because the singing would raise the frequency of the slaves as well. And the Sybils were in their truest form when they came over here during the Mayafa. So these iron muzzles weren't just physical tools. The Freemasons made a lot of the technology that they put on slaves, like that little iron collar they used to put on the males so they wouldn't be able to sleep at night. They'd be uncomfortable as a way of punishment. And the church, the Catholic Church, did a lot of those. They took their Inquisition torture tools and they transferred it to the slaves. But a lot of this tech was spell bindings, specifically to the women. And it was implemented and used to suppress the vibration of the bloodline memory, mainly that comes through the mouth. And once you understand that Mars rules the blood and it rules iron, and K2 rules ancestral release, it becomes clear that the iron muzzles in slavery were part of an astral war to keep that crystalline light codes in the blood from spreading beyond the body of the Sybils. So that's why the enslaved women were targeted. Their blood was too loud and their Mars were active. So the systems used these iron instruments to block it, to block their speech, which is the Vishuddha chakra, the throat chakra, and shut down their Rakta Shakti, which is essential to blood magic, and shut down the moon's soma activation during Cancer or Taurus gateways during a Amrita Siddhi yoga on a full moon, which is Purnima. That aspects Jupiter or Venus. They wanted to shut down the soma activation, the chrism oil of the kundalini around that time. If you're on Patreon, you understand a lot of this stuff. Now, I want you to go get the series Ironheart with the melanated girl playing Iron Man, Riri Williams. So she's this next gen genius melanated girl building her iron suit through her own funding. She didn't have $1 billion like Tony Stark. So they showed that the melanated people got to get it out the mud. They showed that in the series. And she has this friend or family friend named Zelma Stanton and her mother. They were tapped in to the magic in the series. They were representing the Cybels, I noticed when I was watching the series. Both of them are connected to Doctor Strange. In America, a man named Pascal B. Randolph is the original Doctor Strange. Of occultism and metaphysics is a melanated man named Pascal B. Randolph. Some of you who watch my videos, y'all have heard of me covering this melanated man. He's literally Doctor Strange. The whole blueprint they got from Marvel was this guy. And Aleister Crowley got all of his stuff from him. What's the other woman? Helena Blavatsky got all her stuff from him. All of those old OTO, Golden Dawn, Magick societies, they got everything from this guy. Pascal, that's Doctor Strange pretty much. So in the series, they get some of their magic from Doctor Strange, Zelma, in the comic book. I don't think they showed it in the series, but understand that Riri's suit or Ironheart suit, because everything is targeting the heart right now with the jab. That's why they had to bring this thing in, which affects the blood. The jab affects the blood. And I've been saying this for a couple of years now about the jab. Hold on, let me pull up a good picture of her suit. Let's just put this one up right here. Y'all can see that, right? Make sure y'all hitting that like button and send the video out. Riri's suit equals a iron body. That's Mars ruled. You even see the red. This is all Mars. And Zelma and her mom, they are the Cybels reborn. That's K2. So they represent K2, probably Rahu as well. Together with Riri, they represent the fusion of bloodline technology and ancestral magic in the series. Notice that Zelma and her mom gives Riri this occult boost to the suit. So this is the first time you see in Marvel, whereas an Iron Man suit or a Stark Industry technological armor becomes advanced through the magic, the indigenous magic of the melanated people. So this suit isn't just tech like Tony Stark's suit. Its metal is powered by the ancestor frequency. And Zelma and her mother's spells literally are coded into the iron of Ironheart's suit, just like the Cybels, who encoded their hums, their laments into the bones in the fields of the South. The blood memory is encoded in the land where the bones of the slaves are. And there is always a geomantic alignment of Mars and K2 anchoring what type of resonance blood memory that you have from the transference epigenetically of what the slaves endured through the trauma inside of your blood. So Mars and K2 is when light literally enters your blood and where the healing energy or memory residue of the former generation moves through the crystal fractals in the blood which is the light inside of our hemoplasmic makeup. So I would advise for you to check out Ironheart. I'm going to start breaking down some things in that series on Patreon, but I wanted to show the aspect of Mars and K2 in the TV series so you can see that angle of it. Let me see how y'all doing in the chat. Okay, yeah, y'all good. So they came out. Todd McFarlane says he's in talk with the A-list director to sign on for a Spawn movie. Hollywood is nervous right now to put out this Spawn movie because they've been stalling this movie for years. And Todd McFarlane has openly said it's not about the budget of the movie or a lack of interest of the movie. It's about control. Because Spawn isn't just about the action, because people think it's because this black guy wears this suit from hell and can pull out guns and chains and shit like that. I wonder why they made his main weapon a chain. But it's a narrative that's framing a black divine being who outsmarted hell itself. Even in the comic book series, he outsmarts heaven and hell and the Illuminati, the powers that be. So even though it's a Luciferian series, it's the Christological, it's a Christo series, and it's ancestral. So the reason why they don't want to put it out is because Spawn is showing a melanated sovereignty in mythic form. And Hollywood's gatekeepers, they understand ritual storytelling. So they know the power of repetition and symbolism and casting that a proper Spawn movie could initiate a whole damn generation of black youth into self-knowledge, their divine rage, because a lot of these younger YNs, they mad for no reason, and shadow integration. So the controllers don't want the shadow melanin hero archetype out here hitting the masses with this consciousness that's unfiltered, because they've allowed blackness for so long in these servitude movie roles or comic relief. Y'all niggas love to laugh or hide in the sci-fi sidekick flicks. But black people don't really watch sci-fi like that. But understand in the series that Al Simmons is a very wrathful god. He was tortured and liberated just to be back with the melanated woman, because he's fighting to get back to Wanda. But they kind of desecrated that in the comic book as well. So there's a certain vibrational aspect that they want to rupture by not putting out the Spawn movie. That's why they keep pushing it back. But a lot of comic book people are waiting on it, and a lot of occultists and metaphysicists are waiting on this thing to come out. So hopefully they do put it out eventually. Now, Regina King is about to come out with this new series called Bitter Root. So this is a new melanated TV series set in 1924 in Harlem. It's about a legendary melanated family of monster hunters that were fractured by grief, trauma, and other conflicting ideologies. They battle a terrifying supernatural force that literally feeds off racism. And hate, literally in the comic book, turns people into monsters called Jinnu. So they fight the Jinnu in this energy. So this is some big time comic that's being raved about. Regina King is directing and producing. They got Ryan Coogler on it. He's helping produce it as well. And the strip right now is being reworked with the original creator. So this is more than just a horror comic story. This is a bold exploration of generational pain, healing, and Black resilience through power and Afrofuturist vision. So this is going to be a very big series once it hits theaters and whatever platform they bring it on. So look out for Bitter Root, the movie that's about to come out real soon. Just giving you a heads up with that. All right, we got into a couple TV series. We had a Blackstone shooting at the Blackstone building in New York, July 28th. This is a Saturn ritual on the 80th anniversary of the 1945 Empire State Building crash. They spun the block in that 345 Park Avenue, Manhattan, at the Blackstone building. Shooter Shane Devon Tamora. Sound like a immigrant name. 27 years old. 27 is ritual in gematria. He's from Nevada, the 36th state, and he brought this Saturnian hex ritual to this place. So what floor did the blood ritual happen on? The 33rd floor. You see that? Which we know that number is tied to masonry, the secret, and all of that aspect. So this is the highest occult badge in Freemasonry. Even New York equals 33. Now they're saying this guy did it over a CTE incident or something with the NFL. Some NFL employee got critically injured. They reported today. But I think this is some type of MK Ultra shit that they always do. They got to get these people out here. A lot of these individuals are moon children. I've explained what the moon child is. Some of these people born in vitro births. Just get the TV series Evil to understand what the moon child is with the in vitro births. Then you have certain people because of a certain bloodline that they don't know they're a part of, or some instances they kidnap children and raise them up to be these MK Ultra assailants that come out here and kill a bunch of scientists or kill some important person. Then they have them commit suicide. These things happen every day. They're just not reported. So 4 people were killed, including an officer. I guess the officer was an Islamic man. As you may know, the number 4 is the number of death in all occult systems. And the tetragrammaton, which means the box of flesh, 4 dead equals 38, just like death equals 38. Murder equals 38. That's why they call that particular type of gun a 38 special. It's talking about death and murder. Is a gematria code. So I don't believe this was a spontaneous act of a person. This was a actual ritual from one of their government assets. It happened 163 weeks from Trump's 76th birthday. The date of the shooting, 163 equals the 38th prime number. So you had this 38 connected to it. Trump equals 76. And Siobhan Devon Tamora equals 181. And ordinal, that's the 42nd prime number. 42 is dealing with the N word. Anytime you see the number 42 in rituals, that's the N word. They did a lot of that with Malcolm Warner's Cosby Show character, Theo Huxtable equals 42. Let's see some other stuff. So it was a gun ritual. The Jesuits timed it at a particular time. This guy that was killed that they keep talking about in the news, his name is Didarul Islam. People believe he was ritually sacrificed on the 33rd floor. You know, you just had that Israel war with whoever them people is over there in the Middle East. So they're really going after the Islamic aspect everywhere. It has to be some type of ritualistic symbolism they do over here in America. And they said that floor was of the 47th precinct. 47 in Freemasonry equals government, authority. Cop, policeman equals 47. We know the 47th Euclidean problem in mathematics is about establishing a foundation in an object. So they love the number 47 in Freemasonry. As far as the astrology, July 28th, Mars entered Virgo at 7 p.m. It was conjuncted to the moon. As you may know, we just said Mars rules blood. It also rules violence and activation. The moon represents emotion, public staged events, subconscious currents. So with moon and Mars conjunct, this hit was an ignition point, a trigger allowing the event to discharge loose from the collective. So this is classic blood astrology. When Mars and moons meet under mutable signs, you get some type of chaotic event with emotional resonance. Meanwhile, you had Saturn retrograde in Pisces. It was casting a suppressive karmic dome. That means this was a sacrifice under archonic supervision because Saturn governs restriction, time, control. And when retrograde in Pisces, that means the sign was in a boundless spirit. It clamped down on the soul flow. So that made it a soul harvesting operation. And key trauma anniversary, as I said earlier, it was the 80th anniversary of the 1945 Empire State Building crash. So this was all permitted. It also happened 330 days after Mayor Eric Adams' birthday. So you got the New York mayor, you got that 33 connection again. And he's a master mason, by the way. He's a literal master mason, Eric Adams. So 330 days after Mayor Eric Adams' birthday, this occurs. So yeah, I could go deeper into that, but you just got to understand they do these things every day. Also, the building being named Blackstone, that's just a giveaway right there. Blackstone. So the news this week, Julian Brown. A lot of people were asking about Julian Brown and whether or not was he safe. He's been missing for 2 weeks. His mother cleared up things and said that he's fine. He's just laying low right now. So he's been confirmed safe. But anyone paying attention to this should know that the surface level claims don't always reflect the truth of what's really happening. Even though we had a confirmation from his mother, the energy surrounding it, especially when viewed in context, suggests something deeper, something ritualistic, because Julian Brown's last public communication was on July 7th. I told you all about this number 77. So the last time we seen him on TikTok was 7/7. That's a date loaded with esoteric significance because 77 in gematria equals power. And this is the 77th year of Israel's nation's anniversary, the founding date of Israel. So this is tied into the Kabbalistic timelines, the Zionist numerology. And, you know, these are the people that want to keep a stronghold in the industry that Mr. Julian Brown is in. But I always told you that I felt like this guy may have been some type of moon child, like a techno alchemist, but he still was a moon child, which is a ritually engineered vessel that they use, a spiritually charged vessel, often genetically gifted and being born to fulfill or disrupt long-standing power agendas. What makes Julian stand out, it's not just his intellect or his technology, is his energy. if you watch his videos, he's very vibrant about what he's trying to do for people. You know, he created this new way of energy converting plastic into fuel. So are they trying to get him under their thumb right now so he can be groomed and tested for a higher occult purpose is the question. His technology literally transforms plastic into energy. That could be a disruptive invention that would upend multiple industries. So the Zionists, the Judenhites, they maybe want a dimensional control of such a technological channel. So they don't want that innovation getting out. But the mother and son dynamic is kind of ritualistically charged as well, because there's this video circulating that I want you to hear. It's only 9 seconds, but I want you just to hear that, even though they're joking. Just got to keep your eyes open for this.
Everybody, today I'm sacrificing my beautiful mother to the Illuminati, aka the mosquitoes, the Mosquito-nati. But I'm giving.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Julian. So he started a video saying that he was going to sacrifice his mother to the Illuminati. He made a little joke about mosquitoes. So this is some type of shock content he tried to put out. But when you understand the Moonchild theory or the philosophy of a Moonchild, a declaration like that will hit different. We got to understand under that Crowleyan, Thelemic, Gnostic inversion of the Sabbateans, the mother must be denied or offered for the child to ascend, because she becomes the first gate that the initiate must transcend in him becoming this energetic figure of transforming, you know, plastic into this energy source. They have to do this with a special family member that's attached to the particular person. In this case, is his mother. So you can see him doing videos with her. In trauma-based systems, in the elite networks, the maternal bond is often inverted so they can break the soul down and usher in external control. So when Julian disappeared on 7/7, it resurfaced that through a flat tone statement like this from his mother saying he's good, or after having previously spoken of her potential sacrifice, you can't just look at it as a family matter of her confirming he's good. You're still watching a ritual unfold here where bloodline, the genius of him, and pain are being restructured under this Mars Kabbalistic numerological aspect. Now, the question isn't just, is he safe? The question is who's holding the contract? Because for him, really in this country, the reason why he made a dead switch video, and what a dead switch video is when a person comes out and say they feel like they're about to be killed, or they feel like they're being forced to do something. And if they're reported as being offed by themselves, if you understand what that means, the dead switch video is confirming that they weren't actually offed through, you know, their own means, that someone else did it and they're framing it as it. If by him doing that, it seems like they're trying to apprehend him and make him do something. He just he doesn't want to put it out there, because if he puts it out there publicly, somebody's lights might get cut off. So we got to keep an eye on what's happening with Mr. Julian Brown. I don't think he disappeared. I think he's entering that Freemasonic maze now. The question is, will he make it out and return to us reprogram? So those of you who follow this brother, I want y'all to keep an eye on him and make sure nothing seemed a little bit off when he comes back doing his videos. Yeah, I see you up in there, brother George. Revelation of the Method, right? That's very weird to say, right? Now, the TV series I told you guys to watch was the institution. Now, the fourth episode came out. I'm sorry, it's the Institute. I called it the Institution by Stephen King. The fourth episode just came out, and you need to be watching this thing. They even have it red colored here. That represents the blood symbology as well. But get the TV series, The Institute, episode 4, called Dream Box. They say once you get to the dream box, they send you the front half from back half. That's one side of the Institute to the other, because they want to connect you to something called the hum. This is another revelation of the method being revealed. They're showing you exactly how they attack us divine beings in the astral, especially in the dream world. That's where your real power operates. If you look into what they're saying with the hum in the series, they keep talking about this background noise when they visualize through telepathy. When they visualize another person in the front half in telepathy, they hear this humming noise. Now, there's an old lady in the series. I believe she was probably in the Institute at one time. They just offed her because the night knocker, the reformed cop in the series, told one of the Institute's agents, which he didn't know the person was an agent, that this old lady told him that she knew that they were implementing some type of mental technology into the flight of a politician, and the humming or the mental technology, the sound energy weapon that they used on the flight caused the person or the pilot that was piloting the plane to crash it and kill the politician. They were using these kids in their abilities basically to kill off certain people, politicians and public figures and everything. This could be a glimpse in an aspect of what they do. It doesn't particularly have to be kids, but you need to open your eyes when they say something like that in a TV series. So they're speaking of an energy weapon, maybe a low frequency energy weapon, a jamming to the pineal signal that tethers a person to a hive mind when you're asleep. That's probably what they're doing with the 5G towers. But they do understand that the dream realm is where the gods go to do their work. That's where your soul memory is unlocking, and where your blood is transmitting where the ancestors speak there. So the real ones that's in the realm of dreams, they're literally building sovereign timelines like real titans before they even manifest back in the physical. So the government or the cryptocracy, the secret orders, they're going to hit you with all of these scalar resonance weapons, like in the TV series. The hum is nothing but ELF pulses, energy tech or stuff that you can't see, but your spirit actually feels it and it reacts to it. So that's what the hum is. It's not fiction. It's not something connected only to the TV series. This thing is real out here, and a lot of these NPCs are connected to the goddamn hum or the energy weapon or the hive mind, and is running right now through the air. Is actually in the book, Ilana Freeland's new book. She talks about it. What's it called? Geoengineer. It's not geoengineered transhumanism. It's a new book that the geoengineered transhuman. She even put the trans colors on there. This is her new book, 2025. The hidden technologies of heart, chemtrails, 5G and 6G. Nanotechnology is what you really got to look at. synthetic biology and the scientific effort to transform humanity. This is a book that's a must-have, but she spoke about that energy tech as well. But they put these kids in the dream box and they make them see these traumatic memories, and they're trying to extract the information and force them to become telepathic if they're telekinetic. And then they sell the kids off to the highest bidder of these rich people. No detail of what they do with the kids after that. So they're trying to crack these kids. And when they hear the hum, they lose memory. They feel scrambled. That's really what's happening to us too, especially the melanated youth and the moon children, the people that's encoded with the divine mind. The system targets them early. Why? Because if they can scramble your dreams, they don't have to kill your body. They can shut you down in your connection to the source, the future blueprints of sovereign timelines. So if you ever wake up and you feel like something was blocking you, like the dream got cut off halfway, this isn't you stressing out. This is a ritual interference of these frequencies they have out there. They're using the energy to choke the signal from the inside of you, because if you see it too clearly in the dream, you might remember who you are, or once you remember, you're not programmable the same way anymore. So it's some type of astral warfare, how they keep the gods in this sleepwalk, a form of frequency combat. So we got to lock down our dream space with what I told you guys a couple of videos ago on Patreon. Visualizing the torsion field in the mind. You got to visualize the torsion field, and I'll get into this physics even more. When you're meditating, it's very important for you to visualize this torsion field in the Z pinch point that Gen Z speaks on. This is the Z pinch and the activation, and then you put all of your trauma, all of the interference you're having in your mind right now, you put it in that torsion field, and you shoot it up out from this area, from where the torus is inside of your mind. This is a real new magic being developed called torsion magic, where I was visualizing in my bed when I was meditating, just putting all of the bad negative thoughts or anything I had my mind on in this mundane reality, might have to pay a fucking bill or something, and I just throw it in the torsion field now and just shoot it up out there, almost like a blowhole of a whale. This is something else we have to look at in real science. Okay, so that's that. That's the Institute. Michael Warner passed away. Malcolm Jamal Warner, rest in power to that brother. Sacrifice, age 54. They said in an accidental drowning. Blood sacrifice is 86. Accidental drownings, 86. The Cosby Show equals 54. He was a star on the Cosby Show. Jesuit order equals 54. You know, they love the number 54 because the Jesuit order is a sun cult. They worship the sun. Malcolm played the sun to Bill Cosby in the Cosby Show. So they had to sacrifice the sun. Remember, Bill Cosby is known as America's favorite dad to this day. And they're doing a lot of Bill rituals. You know, you had the Kill Bill. You got the Kill Bill aspect. Now you got Bill Cosby, because they came out with the big, beautiful bill under Trump, which is really a death bill. They got a whole lot of stuff written in there people don't know about. This big, beautiful bill. The 3 B's actually is 6s. It's actually 666. I saw somebody decode that. Big, beautiful bill. Bill in another etymon means Satan, by the way. I read that before. So Malcolm Jamal Warner, he was born August 18th, 1970. He's a Leo sun in Vedic astrology, sidereal astrology. He's a Pisces moon and a Cancer rising. His moon is in Shatabisha, which is a realm often associated with deep introspection and hidden suffering. In the Vedic tradition, the 8th house governs death, accidents, and transformation, with Mars and Saturn being key malefics, influencing both death by water, such as a drowning, especially when a person's moon or Venus is afflicted in that house. Given the reported circumstances of an accidental drowning and the strong Mars and Saturn influence of that day, the 201st day of the year, by the way, it could link fates in a Vedic death analysis to interpret his tragic event astrologically, karmically, as a period that's ruled by a Maraka, that's a death-inflicting planet, which coincided with the transits of his afflicted in his 8th house, thus manifesting a sacrificial end through the water. If that's how he died, actually, they're probably using the water as well, coated in the ritual with blood sacrifice. They could have just killed his ass and dumped his body in the water. We don't know these things, but he definitely, based on the numerology, he was a target. A lot of 54 rituals in the last couple of weeks. A lot of 54 rituals. So they took him out. Then they took out a couple other people. This is crazy too. Before I get into that, this woman, I don't know if her name is Celestial. If you guys know her name, leave her name in the comments. Celestial or somebody, this woman here, she prophesied last year that Malcolm Jamal Warner would pass, going back into the Sybil or the Sybil information, those women that could make these predictions. She kind of predicted that. And some people get mad when some of the spiritual people do that, but death is a part of transformation in this realm. We're not physical bodies. We're constantly transforming and transferring ourselves through the realms. Eventually, all of us have to leave this physical shell. So we have to deal with death a little bit better. Some of those people were getting mad when I put the decode out. They were like, he just died. Why would y'all let the people die? I'm like, y'all motherfuckers just too tied up in the death thing. Y'all haven't gotten past your shadow work and your trauma. You know, these things are meant to be encoded with the encryption of frequency. You're supposed to look into it and see the energy that the person left behind, which the brother Malcolm was very spiritual. Go to the Twitter space and listen to what people said about him. It's a lot of different things that the brother was involved with. So you look at and see how that concurs with yourself when these people pass on. If there is a concurrence, because some of these people are nothing but assholes and deserve to be sacrificed. Shout out to Decoding with Cody. We had him for the first time on the channel a week ago. He put up on his channel that he believed that the death of Malcolm Jamal Warner was tied in with cryptocurrency. A lot of crypto rituals happening because the Cosby Show equals 54. He was 54 years old. XRP equals 54 in Francis Bacon cipher, but Ripple is the only cryptocurrency that equals 54. And they said he died in a current. You get it? Ripple. So shout out to Cody for finding that. He also found a connection to X, like Huxtable in his name. They said he had dyslexia. He died by asphyxia. And he was named after Malcolm X. I'm going to have this connection to Malcolm X in a second. But he's doing a great job decoding that, or he did a great job with that. And here's all the movies and the TV series he was associated with. He did a lot of different TV series. I don't even think this is all of them. These are the main ones. And you also have this connection with Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, Anthony Mackie wore the shirt. I think that was a ritual for him to do. I didn't look at their birthday span, but it was something with his birthday and Malcolm Warner's birthday. They made him put that shirt on. I don't think he just was paying homage. All of those people are controlled. But the Ozzy Osbourne death is connected to Malcolm Warner. Some people think that his consciousness was transferred into another rock star. So check this video out, and I'm going to show you the connection with Malcolm Warner.
Ozzy didn't die on stage, but something definitely happened that night. His final concert was extremely emotional. It was like a true send-off. Fans called it a funeral. They say if you look a little closer, it looks like a ritual, as if the talent, the magic is being passed on to Youngblood, the mantle he's now wearing. Fans are also saying this album that Youngblood released is deliberate. They say it's as if Ozzy appeared by a ritual, that he's giving this golden cross to his successor, to the one that will carry on his essence. The alchemy, Youngblood shows the cross transformed into red diamonds. They say from the old vessel to the new. Fans are saying the performance of changes is something they've never felt from him before, that he has a true rock god status now. Some are saying this feels like a transference ceremony. As if Ozzy is blessing his heir, he says, "Go conquer America first." People are saying he looks literally like a young Ozzy Osbourne, and some are even saying he looks similar to Kelly too. Did the transfer work? In the funeral video, Ozzy touches Youngblood's forehead, in his third eye. In occult symbolism, this represents an alchemical, energetic exchange. The Osbournes have been supporting him all across social media in an atypical way. Was he chosen?
I don't know. A lot of people hated that video. You know, a lot of them Ozzy Osbourne fans. They were like, "No, dude, that's stupid. You guys are stupid." Yeah, I'll be laughing at them. People be coming at my posts, man. But it's interesting. Very interesting. A lot of them agree with it. I don't know who this Youngblood dude. His name is Youngblood. I watched a couple of other videos with him. And it's some weird stuff going on between him and Ozzy, or it was some weird stuff. Or maybe it is because they're both the same person. Maybe he's a clone of him. But the Ozzy Osbourne ritual, he died on July 22nd. Ozzy Osbourne, his name equals 201, if you didn't know. Ozzy Osbourne equals 201, Order Illuminati. Also, Malcolm Warner died on the 201st day of the year, as I said. So there is a connection between both of them. He dies on the first day of the 63rd day of the year. The Osbournes, the TV series that blew them up, equals 163. That's the reality show that made his family globally famous. He also died in the 163rd week since his June 13th, 2022 spinal surgery, the same surgery that people speculated marked his decline. So Ozzy's last concert was titled Back to the Beginning, which equals 222, which is the same as Order Out of Chaos, Satanic Ritual 222. So this is a perfect phrase for closing out a Saturnian rite. Ozzy, in his last performance, sat on a bat throne with skulls on it. Skull and bones equals 76, just like he died at the age of 76. And the bat could be connected to, you know, the jab, because they said it came from a bat. So the death of a Black Sabbath frontman is heavily coded. Black Sabbath's first album was released February 13th. That could be written 2/13. In Satanic Gematria, death equals 213. Tupac's last album came out on 2/13, and he died 213 days later after the All Eyes on Me album. 2025 marks exactly 55 years from the release of their first album. MTV, where the show the Osbournes were on, equals 55. Satan equals 55. So this completes a 55-year satanic spell that began on the band's debut and ended with his scripted death. He also dies 4 days after this theatrical announcement of a Black Sabbath movie coming out. which was released July 18th, written like 18/7 in most places in the world. That's 187, the homicide code in certain regions of America. Society of Jesus equals 187. Jesuit ritual equals 187. The movie's announcement was on the 199th day of the year. That's the 46 prime number. Sacrifice equals 46. And on the day of his final concert, I also highlighted how his daughter was proposed to by another rock band Slipknot member, Sid Wilson, who equals 56, like blood sacrifice equals 56. A lot of members of Slipknot, if you look into their gematria, died in 38 death ritual codes. So Slipknot is something the elite, their members have been sacrificed by the elite the last couple of years. Sid Wilson gave Ozzy Osbourne's daughter a ring, a wedding ring, reportedly called a queen bee ring or honey bee ring, which equals both 44. 44 is a number associated with killing, or kill equals 44. So some type of bee worship or sun god worship, which ties to ancient solar fertility cults and ritual rebirths, which could be connected through the young blood rock star character. Could that be Ozzy Osbourne reborn? Some people say he's been cloned. This other guy named Dana Strum is Ozzy. I don't know. A lot of people are getting real crazy with it. He was always into some satanic occult stuff. He has an album called Speak to the Devil. A lot of the rituals is tied to Crawley with his famous song, Mr. Crawley. A lot of people have been talking about. Mr. Crawley equals 666 in reverse Sumerian gematria cipher. So you have the 666 connection. And a lot of these rock bands have to pay homage to Crawley or Crawleyan type of rituals. There was also a commercial of him. One of the last commercials of him showed him at a pool with the black swan behind him. Somebody posted this. A black swan, if you look up a black swan event, is something just like what happened with the C word or the jab event. That is what you call a black swan event. It's an event that comes out of nowhere and fucks up the whole world. So could his death be coded in another black swan event that's going to occur soon? Possibly. Speaking of the C word, Ozzy Osbourne says he felt relieved after getting his first C word. You know, whatever that other word is. So there you go with that. You know, that's interesting. And the connection I wanted to make with Malcolm Warner, Jamal Warner, I already said that Ozzy Osbourne equals 201. Malcolm Warner died on the 201st day of the year. Now, Malcolm Warner, I said earlier, he was named after Malcolm X. If you look into the etymon or the theonym of the word Malcolm, MLK, which is interesting. Malcolm Warner died on the anniversary of MLK's brother death date, which MLK's brother died in a drowning as well. On the same day, Malcolm Warner died in a drowning. In that same day, Trump released the MLK files. So there is a connection. I'm not just pulling stuff out my ass here. MLK usually means king, or is one of the Canaanite gods, Moloch or Malcolm. And Moloch is the same thing, the god of sacrifice, which is very interesting because the person who did Malcolm X's, the man that Malcolm Jamal was named after, the person who did Malcolm X's eulogy, his name was Ozzy Davis. So you do have a connection to Ozzy Osbourne, 201 and 201st day of the year. So all of these things are very, very connected. Is basically what I'm saying. What's going on, Donut? I see you up in there. Donut says he thinks a Black Swan event is coming around August 10th. Yeah, the guy who did his eulogy name is Ozzy Davis. I said, God damn. If that ain't no damn ritual, I don't know what is. Certain people can't spot this type of stuff. So yeah, and if you add up, because Hulk Hogan died too. I don't want to get into. Hulk Hogan. I want to do Hulk Hogan just. A lot of you Negroes out there was crying over Hulk Hogan too. I noticed that. A lot of y'all was out there crying. I don't want to go too in depth with Hulk Hogan's death, but he did die at 71. Sacrifice equals 71. He also died in Leo's season, ruled by the sun. And he dies how many days after the Pope, the new Leo Pope? He died a certain amount of days from the new Pope. I don't see in my notes how many days he died from the new Pope, but it's something connected between him and the new Pope. And his super fan, Eric Service, died 3 days before Hulk Hogan. His name equals 71. Then Hulk Hogan dies at 71. He died on the 29-year anniversary of the NWO's New World Order's debut back on July 7th, 1996. He died 17 years after the Red Hulk was introduced in the Marvel comic book series, a year after Captain America Brave New World, which originally was named New World Order, by the way, just like who Hulk Hogan wrestled for, the group. A year later, he dies after that movie comes out. I said he's probably tied to the Red Hulk, something with Hulk Hogan and the Red Hulk, which equals 38 and 43. NWO equals 29. And he died 174 days from the 38th Royal Rumble. 38 is murder. New World Order equals 174. So I think his death was very much a ritual. He also died 10 years after he made that racist rant on the same day. So it was some type of racial ritual with him. He died exactly 10 years. You know, in the Kabbalah, they deal with 10 spirae. So back in 2015, when he said the N-word with the hard R, he died on the exact same day as that. I did check that when it hit the news. That is accurate if you look it up. And yeah, he was wearing dresses and stuff. I mean, the other thing, they kind of bussified him a little bit. Hulk Hogan, he's an American icon. A lot of wrestling people really mourn his death, but Terry Bollea, whoever that is, was an asshole. He was a complete asshole. So one thing I noticed between all three, and Donut put this up too as well. I got this graphic from Donut and Cody and guys, they make better graphics. So sometimes I use the graphics. I notice all of their ages added together equals 201. So kudos to Donut and the other decoders that found that quickly. If you add 71, 76, and 54, you get the infamous Jesuit number 201. You can't get away from it. You're not going to get away from it. So it's all theater equals 201. By the way, if you put Malcolm Jamal Warner, Hulk Hogan, and Ozzy Osbourne all together, you get 201. And the first death occurred on the 201st day of the year. Funny, we got 201 people in the chat right now. It's real crazy. So those was those rituals. I was gonna go into the Nazareth Jezera hoax people been putting out here, but I'm gonna save the Nazareth Jezera. We don't have a lot of time since we began late. I'm gonna save that for Patreon. Let's talk about what occurred with Mr. Anthony Anderson. They did a ritual to another melanated actor. Anthony Anderson, you might know him from Blackish. They put this video out from a 2003 interview he has with Lindsay Lohan or Lohan. And it's kind of crazy because they just released new pictures of Lindsay Lohan. They hadn't seen her in a while. But this wasn't random why they released this video and why he's being accused of some PDF type stuff with all of the Epstein's stuff circulating right now. Let's play the video, then I'm gonna comment on it.
It's pink, it's satiny, and it's me.
Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use.
Oh my God! It's me. To Lindsay from me. There you go.
Well, this is going to go right on my bed. And when I see you, I will say hi because I'll see your face every night.
Now, aside from entertaining me in your room and in your house, what gentleman will be at the new pad with you and Raven Simone?
No one.
I'm just talking about, like parties.
No, I don't have a boyfriend.
She's single, but looking.
But I'm illegal for people that are old.
Well, some men like them young. We ain't gonna mention no names, but I'm one of them.
Yeah, I don't know what was so funny about that. I don't know what was so funny about that, Mr. Anderson, but it's a humiliation ritual. They told him to do that. They told him to say that. I don't believe half of these actors, the stuff they say. Some people believe them so much. I believe they're controlled tools of the government. Anderson's birthday. Now, check this out. Anthony Anderson's birthday was August 15th. August 15th. To the Jesuits is the day that Ignatius of Loyola and 6 others. It's a big day. It's a big Jesuit day. It's a big day. It's called the Feast of the Assumption of Mary into Heaven. So August 15th is like a founding date. So here you go. Yeah, so it's a founding date of the Jesuits. It's August 15th. Some type of founding date that they recognize. His birthday is on this founding date of the Jesuits. From his birthday to Lindsay Lohan's July 2nd, 2003 birthday is exactly 322 days. So from his birthday to Lindsay Lohan's next July 2nd birthday is 322 days. So that's Skull and Bones. That 322 shows up in secret society symbolism for elite initiations. And by the way, Anthony Anderson was 33 years old when this video came out, which we just talked about the number 33 in the Blackstone ritual. And Lizzie Lohan, she was 17, which is another ritual number they use for feminine maturity and vulnerability. So they needed a 33-year-old man making a suggestive comment to a 17-year-old that's locked into a 322-day calendar window. No coincidence. That's all structured. And now in 2025, Anderson is 54. Remember, I talked about all of the 54 rituals they did after Malcolm Warner. They keep using this number because 54 is the number tied to the Jesuit order. And when it pops up, someone like Anthony Anderson ends up getting humiliated, or somebody like Malcolm Warner ends up dying. So they do these things a lot. You got to pay attention to these things. These things happen a whole lot. And I wanted to highlight that for this video. Now, another ritual they did to a melanated man. Last week, they killed this guy this man named Keith McAllister. And I don't believe that this was a freak accident, but they said a man died from being sucked into an MRI machine by a chain around his neck. Did you guys hear about this shit? What type of shit is this? So this isn't, I believe, a freak accident. This is some type of ritual that's masked as medical negligence. A melanated man gets sucked into an MRI machine with a chain around his neck. You already know what time it is. Chain, neck. That's already symbolism. That's what they're playing with that. So MRI is a high-powered magnet that creates electromagnetic vortex fields strong enough to rip metal off bodies. That's the surface level. Spiritually, I believe that this is a gateway that they use, and they let a high vibration, a melanated vessel enter into this machine with this object or a chain around his neck as a ritual strangulation, not just in the physical, but on a subtle plane to reimburse the whole slavery aspect. So this happened July 16th in the middle of Sirius rising, when the energy fields are already starting to thin, and he was drawn energetically into this ritual of containment. So they made this MRI a binding field that simulated the collar of slavery, but they've updated it or touched it up with using an MRI machine. So his death wasn't just tragic, it was a statement, because the chain itself represents the ancestral trauma of melanated people. And the fact that the machine pulled it around his neck is deeper. The throat chakra rules speech, breath, willpower, and our divine command. So he was literally silenced, at the same time choked by the technology as a guise of medical treatment. They said he was stuck to the magnet for an hour. You have to know how impossible that sounds in a trained facility for something like that to happen. But it's also symbolic too. 1 hour is 60 minutes. 60 minutes equals Saturn in time. Saturn rules karma, death, and entrapment. So another Saturnian initiation is lethal. And it wasn't about them in their protocols of safety. They were testing this type of system or ritual on awakened souls or particular types of souls. And it happened while his wife was in the machine. Do you think that's a coincidence? Two souls in resonance, one in the MRI, one approaching the field, the electromagnetic charge. They're already bound by marriage. And then you have this chain, one gets taken out. That's prime energetic harvesting of connected frequencies. And they're using the gender dynamics. She watched him literally die powerless. And that programs the collective feminine helplessness in the melanated community of their black masculine destruction in the morphogenetic field. So what this symbolizes is, during a solar alignment window, they're using the machine to literally devour the essence of black masculinity in front of the black feminine. And this is technocratic ritual warfare. So you got to know what that is before they tell you what it is. You see what I'm saying? Say, why didn't they shut it down? Because it was a ritual. That's like asking, why didn't the slave master take the slave off the damn rope? I'm not picking on you either, goddess. It was a ritual. All right. So what's been going on with this T app thing? So there's this T app. It's the #1 app in the country. It was created by a bussified male, the founder and CEO. And they'll dress this thing up like an empowerment tool for women. I guess the app is used for feminine trauma, like when a woman needs to look up stuff about a man. The T app is like something women are connecting with to find stuff on men or something like that. You guys could correct me in the chat. But anytime you have some bussified male building something for women, one is Moonchild-esque. The government programmed this person to do that through MK Ultra. It's also based on his emotional damage to how he feels about his mother. So it's a psychic inversion ritual, which is a Babylonian trick how they do that, using wounded feminine spirits as bait. And they run it through some type of emotional empathy, and they disguise it as a app that can provide the woman healing, but it's really a Trojan horse. Downloading this app thinking you're going to get something of safe feeling by utilizing it, when you're really giving up your location, because they said that the app hacked everybody's phone when they used it. You're giving up your thought patterns and your emotional cycles through your trauma response. And it's nothing but machine learning fodder. You're pouring your spirit into this app, and every time you journal, whether you vent or ask for advice, your energy transferring it in a loose type of way. So the app isn't safety. It's mapping the divine feminine's intuition as they make these digital confessions. And every red flag story, every screenshot of a toxic man, every emotional outburst that they feed into this system is building a neuro-emotional profile of these women, how they move, how they trust, how they love, all these things. And the data isn't just sitting in a vault, it's being pipelined into law enforcement or behavior models, advertising firms, and God knows what type of black budget predictive policing labs. If you thought Facebook was bad, this is Facebook on Adderall. And they're corrupting the wombs through this, through the women, because it's woman only. That makes it even more dangerous, because you're dropping your guard thinking it's a safe space, but spiritually is an altar and your blood is data. So the tech owner, the bussy man, he's just a vessel. His trauma for his mother is just a ritual offering that was used to open the portal for this app to exist. And this is a type of blood sorcery. You got to understand that. So what I understand is basically the app is for women who have similar toxic male experiences, and they share data and figure out stuff on the man or some shit like that. Now, the founder said he created it because his mom was DMing criminals on dating apps. What type of shit is that? He said, spilled the tea. Literally. Now, the TV series you got to get, as I said previously, you got to get Foundation. By Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov created the series. You got to get the latest season. Season, what is it? Season 4 or season 3? I think it's season 4. Let me see what season it is. Season 3. Okay, season 3. I apologize for that. So get Foundation, watch and catch up on the series, but season 3, man, they are cooking with season 3 right now. So I'm not going to sum up everything that happened in the series, but I will give you a brief backdrop of what is all about. I will do that for you. Trying to get a good photo of season 3. I'll just leave that up. So Foundation is more than just a sci-fi series. It's a literal manual for us in the intergalactic mind control and how they're going to harvest generational soul warfare or warfare. They're using it as general soul warfare and how they're going to use out after they start transferring people's minds into the machine tech, transhumanism. The main goal is sending machines out in space to venture out into these hollow planets that they want us to believe so much into, whereas the planets are already here. And what I mean by that, of course, we know about the astral and etherical planes, but go get a series, go get a TV series, an anime series called Hunter x Hunter. And look up something called the Dark Continent. That's the same thing that the flat earthers been speaking about was beyond the ice wall. And what a certain person talked about with the hyperdimensional kingdoms. I can't say her name on here, but the Dark Continent is portions of the world that the government don't want to tell you. So this is where we're at. And there's a whole other landscape of all these other things, which would be on otherworldly planets, are located outside of where we are. Why would they put this in an anime? Because there's some type of truth in it. Maybe there's some metaphysical tech that crosses you over into this portion of where these things are, you know. But they're trying to make it believe like we got to project out of the body or project out of the atmosphere to reach these places. What if it was already here? You know what I'm saying? So this Foundation series, they're cloaking it because they're putting us out in space how they want us to think in these aesthetics. And what we're really watching is a blueprint. This is how the elite bloodlines are trying to defy entropy, prophecy, and divine chaos through artificially ordering things around. This whole concept of the Foundation is a psychoencephalic script, a metaphysical hedge fund. They build it and predict the programming Harry Seldon, which is the man up here in the right corner, upper corner, he's this architect of something called the Prime Radiant, which is something like the Kabbalah. It's a sacred geometric object, which I'll show. And when you touch this object, it opens up and it shows this rare mathematics. It lights up and it shows this stripped of timelines, which is literally the melanin in the pineal gland I explained on Patreon. It's the pineal gland mainly. And he's using this sacred geometrical mathematics to run advanced algorithms that don't just predict the future, but it manipulates probability timelines. It's called psychohistory math, which is quantum sorcery. Then you have the other main character, Gail Dornick, which is the melanated girl in the series. She's selected to run another portion of the Foundation. So Harry Seldon runs the Foundation in one half, because there's 3 foundations, and she runs the other portion. They both have different missions. So she's a chosen Stargate because she was the only one that believed in Harry Seldon's math back then when they called him a crazy person. She represents the feminine gnosis, and the system didn't know how to control her. So she represented the return of that oracle class of being, the cyborg that I was speaking of earlier, because she can see in the future through her dreams. So they tried to use her early in the series to validate the math, but they didn't count on what her power was. Her power isn't linear. It's not the numbers. It's dream-based memory DNA. So her resonance is real deep. She's a living Akash in the flesh. So they isolated her. They've cryogenically froze her and study her like an alien artifact, studying the dark feminine to extract her gift and try to run the world off it. She's supposed to be battling something called the mule. That's representative of Set, the mule. I broke all of this down. The mule represents psychic dominion over the plane. He doesn't use any machines. He's called a mentalic, basically a gifted psychic person. And she's seeing in her mind, or she's seeing flashes of him as a tulpa, which is a projected astral form in the future. And every time she goes into the dream realm, he finds her and tries to kill her in her dreams. Same thing that I was talking about. These energetic feedback loops, or what they're trying to do with the hum in the Institute. They're trying to get us in the dreams and cut off the people who can tap into the dreams, cut us off from it. So it's her versus the mule in the TV series. And you also have the Cleon clones. When they're cryogenically frozen, they're throwing up the Baphomet sign. Every time they're cryogenically frozen, here's him throwing it up right here. Brother Day, Brother Don, Brother Dust is the Trinity. They're the synthetic God of the universe. They live on Trantor, which is like the empire hub of the universe. They're trying to clone themselves to keep the masculine through an artificial reincarnation, which ends up being a spiritual prison for their own soul until Day figures out he needs to break out of it. This is the mule, by the way. I'm starting to believe that Harry is the mule, by the way. That's probably giving some stuff up I shouldn't be telling people, but I'm starting to believe that. What was I wanted to show? Oh, so Day starts to wake up because he gets with this melanated woman called Song. So she's the consort to Empire, which is Brother Day. And she introduces him to psychedelics, mushrooms that we started a video on. She's from a mycogen planet, a planet that grows mushrooms. So all they do all day is do the mushrooms. And this is what breaks him from having that artificial thinking of being Cleon the second or Cleon the third of I got to run the universe this way. He realizes, oh, I'm in a spiritual trap. I'm a clone. So what the fuck should I still continue to rule for? I need to go live my own life. And that's when he gets with her. He had to seek out that melanin energy and try to drain her. Now he messed up because he told her that the female that looks over the Cleons is not a woman. She's a machine. And I forgot her name. I really forgot her name, but she's actually the last robot in the universe because in the early portions of the book, humans went to war with the AI. They won and all the machines were banished. She's the last living machine in human flesh. Her people on the mycogen planet worship machines. So when he told her that, it kind of fucked her up. That's what I'm saying. They got to have the melanin tied to machine somehow, especially the melanated woman. So there is a theory that there are more machines than just her. Where's the other machine? I didn't save the other pic, but there's another woman that we believe is a machine as well. Let's just check the series out. We'll go deep into that on Patreon. I'm getting tight on time right now. I have to get into the lecture in a minute. Let me make sure y'all covered everything, the main things. Another thing I want you to check out is Predator Badlands this year. Predator Badlands is about to come out. Badlands is very, very deep. That's some heavy stuff. I don't know why they chose to have a robot, a female robot that has half her body. This is some ritualistic stuff. He has to carry, the Predator has to carry this half robot. This reminds me, when I saw it, of Star Wars. You remember when Luke had to carry Yoda on his back? This is something metaphysical, I believe. So when I saw that, I kind of thought of this. But they just reversed the energy as an inversion of the Sabbateans. They made it a female. But this is actually an ancient Egyptian deity named Set Horus. Whereas Horus carries Set on the back of his head, which Bobby broke this down. It represents the medulla oblongata, or the reptilian cortex of the brain, is where the shadow is where the daemon is. They call it the holy guardian angel in Thelema. It's in the back of the portion of your neck, is where the most concentrated melanin or neuromelanin is in your brain. And everyone has to have neuromelanin to actually have thoughts. So there is something metaphysical to Badlands. Yeah, Heru Set, yeah. Someone said, I used to sell Luke Skywalker weed. I'm about to shut this damn thing down. Are y'all talking about selling Luke Skywalker loud pack in the chat? Lord God. He said in Star Wars, Chewbacca was carrying C-3PO. Okay. These people is talking about loud pack in the goddamn chat. I am done. Let me get up. Let me get this damn lecture out the way. Lord, what did y'all talk about? So the reason why we will incorporate a lot of things like this, all of these symbols right here is 9 in spirituality. We began as a species of image makers. That's what a god is. So the charcoal etchings and cave walls, all of these different things are etchings of divine chaotic data that we're transferring from the ethers. Now we have digital avatars beaming through our streams, doing the same thing that we did with these cave walls, or what we did with these symbols we put in pyramids, or other symbols we put in books. Man has always worshiped what we can project. So we're trying to shape gods in our own image and immortalize ancestors in stone. And now we're doing it digitally. So somewhere along the arc of human development, I think we began outsourcing the sacred, where we once danced to the stories of our ancestors, but now we stroll past them. When we once conjured gods through memory in our breath, we're using the telephone, or not even the telephone, computers, digital devices, to cast a entertaining factor to get away for what we're supposed to do naturally in our own minds. So it's a tragedy when we used to internalize these things. The vision is being displaced with a external spectacle. So the magical aspect of the arcane current has been reclaimed as a digital projection. Magic is not supposed to be spectacle. Magic is a internal technology. Our imagination is a altar. Our imagination is an altar. Whatever you visualize through your imagination is how we plug into the source. And we have to understand this, because visualization isn't optional to us. The mind is fundamental. Before your body moves, your mind has already seen it move. That means every action, from the mundane to the magical, it begins with inner sight. You don't lift a glass unless your brains picture it beforehand. And you can't lift energy unless your spirit envisions it. So the inner must precede the outer. If your internal imaging system is fragmented or atrophied, your magic will flee flat. It will feel flat and it will feel hollow. But once the inner eye is strengthened, the act of casting becomes fluid. It becomes natural. It becomes effortless. And it's almost like you're exhaling and inhaling and exhaling. For us seasoned adepts, visualization becomes embodied so much that the ritual is no longer required. We become the ritual because we move energy like muscle memory. Some other people, they still are building that architecture of their inner world the same way of a ritual in the scaffolding of a framework, but it's not as magnified as those who are actually living as the ritual. Ritual is not theater, how they make it seem in Disney movies and TV series. Rituals is a ritual is a structure, family. So a ritual is geometry for the invisible. That's what we encoded the 9 through in these aspects. We're showing you the geometry. The geometry of ritual gives rhythm to the raw current, informs the formless. So whether you use a single candle, whether you use a hand-drawn sigil like this, or a full ceremonial invocation, the ritual serves the same purpose, which is to heighten the awareness of the person, to sharpen your focus and solidify the presence. Because presence is the gateway to power. What you are fully present with, you command. The command structure begins in your blood. That's why I named the video Blood Magic Decoded. I got to talk about these NPCs when I get a chance. Lord God, we got to chop it up by that on Patreon. So blood isn't just hemoglobin. Blood is your memory, your ancestry, your trauma, your DNA, even the spirit's voltage runs through your blood. Blood carries all of our stories. It holds form, vibration, structure through traditions and your destiny. The blood is a conductor, it's a witness, and it's connected directly to your subconscious. When you engage in blood and rituals, you're not appealing to the horror tropes that's projected in these horror films. It is the native language of the body, the ancestors in the field that's contacted. The subconscious is the hidden architect. It responds deeply to it. And it says, when you're working with it, that we are working with life itself. So the level of recognition that opens doors, it cannot be entered through thought alone. This brings us to the illusion of the high versus the illusion of the low. There is no true hierarchy in magic. So you hear about high magic and low magic. The high tends to be systematic or ceremonial, which is slow cooked. The low is immediate. Low magic is immediate, is raw, is more intuitive. But these are not opposites. They're just gradients of the spectrum of application. What once was required through incense, incantation, and lunar alignment, that may one day require only just breath and will. So what you did ceremonially with putting a cloak on and doing whatever you did, you may not need to do that shit no more years later, because mastery collapses complexity. What was once ritual is now a part of your rhythm. Now, when we're talking paradigms, one thing you gotta, let me nip this in the bud real quick. Everything a person does, because I saw a girl make a video, I need to play her video about witchcraft. Everything what I'm talking about is not no goddamn, everything that's spiritual isn't witchcraft. I hope you guys understand. I think you guys advanced enough to understand that. But if not, because I do hear some spiritual people sometimes get confused about it. Where is that video of that girl? Okay, I don't have it saved. Let me pull it up on my Instagram. Give me 1 second to pull this up, family. Make sure you're hitting that like button. And make sure you're donating to the channels to keep the lights on. You guys can donate at Cash App, Spiritual Shade Room, $ Spiritual Shade Room. Please donate. Be greatly appreciated if you do. Let me get to my damn. It's always hard for me to get to my page through Instagram. Instagram got to do better. Let me try it this way. I gotta play this video for you guys. But if it's moving too slow, I'll go directly to TikTok to find it. Put a thumbs up if I'm still here. It seems like my computer is moving a little bit slower than it did earlier. Maybe that is because of Instagram. The Patreon link, if you're looking to get on Patreon, is patreon.com/THE. Hold on, let me cut this guy off. THE_ Spiritual Shade Room. And what should pop up is the True Occult newspaper. Hold on, let me find this girl. Hold on, that's not her. Somebody send me that video. I want to show this video so bad. Okay, hold on. I think now how do I get to my goddamn shit? Let me try to do it from notifications. This is slowing the video down, slowing the momentum down. Okay, I think I found it, guys. Okay, now I can get to it. Just a little patience, a little bit of patience. All right, check this out right here.
someone is lying, they're practicing witchcraft. If someone is cheating, they're practicing witchcraft. If someone is gossiping, they're practicing witchcraft. If someone is manipulating, they're practicing witchcraft. All witchcraft is taking energy and spells and creating an alternate reality that can be seen or unseen. So people will say, like, lighting a
I'm family. I love our people, but she didn't know what the hell she was talking about. She didn't know what the hell she was talking about when she was explaining that. That is not what witchcraft is at all. So I need to debunk this. Witchcraft is none of that in its purest sense. The closest she said is witchcraft is manipulating, but even just manipulating a person isn't witchcraft per se. Witchcraft could be a form of black magic, or just a person outsmarting the other person with either deceit or intelligence, but it's coherently low vibrational. Really, it's not really witchcraft. They're just doing low vibrational shit. Low vibration ain't just witchcraft. I got to explain what witchcraft is so people can understand that. But spells aren't just emotionally loaded thoughts that's coherently aimed. Understand the word ritual means resonance. It really means season, but seasons are resonance. If there is no resonance, which means a buildup, just like you take a shower every day, for example, the superficial act of just saying words, how she was saying, tailored without a continuity of scalar intention, is nothing but randomly charged vibrational leakage. It's not witchcraft. Because it does not shape reality if there is no astrological, that's why I hint now on the astrology, in the continuity loop of certain house placements in the chart that has psychic voltage, especially in the 8th house. The 8th and the 12th houses consistently, through resonance and continuity, support field altering astral necromantic effects, especially through wording, if they have enough malefic knowledge of the nakshatras, which are also involved. For example, an individual with a strong placement in the 1st house can speak often or clearly, but is ego bound, is not field altering. So a person with a strong placement there, they just have a stronger ego bound projection of their energy. It doesn't change another person's field like witchcraft is supposed to do. Witchcraft and black magic must have engineered inertia of energies that's conducted at specific timings, that's gained momentum in planetary currents based on malefic intent. So it has to be a malefic intent that's gained momentum in planetary currents. If it doesn't have that, family, is not witchcraft. These witches or warlocks, they're waiting on certain moons, on certain planets, because the intent has to be based on conduit, sigil, seated verbiage, certain pots, talisman, oils, incense has to be aligned with it. So a person must have the ritualized willpower in their magic to conduct it through skill to actually affect subtle reality. We're talking about under probably 1%, under 1% of the world has that type of skill. These people don't have this ability to do that. A spell is inertia. So the belief that someone is always casting spells on you is a unconscious effort or projection of your own energy, or your own unconscious projection of unpreparedness of your energy. So it's easier for a person to say this thing is blocking me than to admit that you lack the daily spiritual hygiene that you haven't purified your inner speech, and you drift between desires with no sacred intent or mental focus. That means your field is open to interference because your will is undisciplined. That's what really it is, instead of saying somebody doing some damn witchcraft on your ass. That's what she was saying. That's not what's happening. To really affect reality through witchcraft, one must be able to alter the phase space of another being's energetic field. This means they have to intervene literally with the scalar harmonics of the target's emotional body, using malefic planetary tides to embed a resonant disruption code through different devices like jars, dolls, sigils, and oils, and other things. So the success of a spell depends on the recipient having an attunement hole, a crack in the coherence of their aura caused by fear, emotional instability, excessive ego, or lack of spiritual grounding. So if you're in tune with your own energy, fully integrated across mind, breath, action, and heart chakra, you are nearly impossible to be influenced unless you allow it. Certain astrological charts carry voltage and pathways. If I look in your chart, you email me, I can look into your birth chart and your house placements. The 8th house has these hidden mechanics of psychic interference. The 8th house, if it has Mars, Rahu, or Ketu, you may subconsciously leak chaos or obsession onto others, and you can transmute it into power. That means there's an amplification of word power through your emotional radiation. That means if you have these placements in the 8th house, Mars, Rahu, or K2, you have to be careful what you say, because what you say carries more weight than a person that doesn't have that placement. You got to have these rakshaksha placements, basically. In the 12th house, which regulates dreams, the subconscious, ancestors, and ritual magic, if you have Saturn and K2 there, it can open gateways to spiritual contact. So there is a psychic warfare occurrence there through nonverbal astral zones. Also, 3rd and 6th houses, they are governed through speech as a weapon with a strong Mercury. If Mercury is in Ardra, your voice can be used like a sword. So 3rd house shows how our spells are vocalized. The 6th house shows who the spells are aimed at, the enemies. And I have to look into who are your open and hidden enemies as well. So emotional drama isn't magic. People confuse emotional chaos with black magic. They believe that because someone is crying, gossiping, or angry at them, that it must be a spiritual attack. But black magic is actually a ritualized physics, not a melodrama. Passively, aggressively texting or talking to someone, social media shade at someone, fighting someone, or rumors, or if a person says they're giving you the evil eye, if they're saying they're doing juju on you, more than likely they're not doing juju on you. The only thing is that you have a crack in your auric field and you're unprepared to otherwise defend yourself from these things. Hold on, somebody's calling me. All right, let's get back to the lecture. So I just want to nip that in the bud for people wondering about if someone's doing witchcraft on all of that. She didn't know what she was talking about. She didn't know what she was talking about. And we can't just let people go off and just say these things. Anyways, one thing we must understand, there's a book I want you to get. There's several books I want to speak about today. Let me get back to what I was covering earlier. Get a book named Blood Magick by Seth. This is an excellent book to understand what we're about to cover. It's on Amazon right now. You can get it. Should be a reasonable price. We got it in the Discord group already. Yeah, so it's about damn near $. This is a good book that I'm gonna speak on. He's saying in the book that when it comes to sacrifice, how they do these blood magic rituals, it's not simply offering a person, it's intervening the stream of life to interrupt the flow of a person at the point of death, conjoining back into the monad. They have to look at the moon to see how a person's chart, their Mars, is connected with the closest cycle of the moon, because the moon governs fluid intelligence, emotions, memory, and life rhythms, which specifically shows up in Bharani Nakshatra, that's ruled by Yama, the god of death, the god of sacred transition. Bharani is all about boundaries. When you look into it, Bharani is a blood gate. Blood sacrifice in Bharani will never be random. That is literally a ritual exit and entry coded in biology and in our spirit. So every time you spill blood under a Bharani moon or Kritika moon, you're activating the Tethys plasma, or subtle lunar charge that powers transformation. So that adds juice behind the spell. So blood magic under Bharani and Kritika is going to add that juice. The Tethi is the lunar phase that becomes the magnet. Your blood is the signal. When you match the magnet in the signal, you get a boom. And that is the charge implosion to the working. So sacrifice isn't always gory. You don't have to sacrifice an animal. You can sacrifice something by not doing it. Eliminating a pattern is a sacrifice as well. So if you give up smoking on a certain Kritika Bharani moon to change another aspect of reality, a lot of people, they do rituals with their own blood, or what they do, they simulate the aspect of blood through other means, which I'll explain in a minute. It's a form of geometry that isn't based on drama in Hollywood. It's a trajectory and a voltage exchange. You're trading a life force for a change in your life. And if you forget that and you romanticize it and rush it, you actually disconnect from the blood's significance and reduce it to mere carnage. A lot of these people in the Sabbatines and Illuminati do that. So the author is emphasizing that significance is what charges the act. Blood without significance is just red liquid. So when the Illuminati is sacrificing people, they're focusing a meaning through the blood rituals that becomes a living spell, which is a carrier of intention and amplified through will. But sacrifice in a deeper sense isn't death, is about offering a portion of your living force to the current. That's why even a few drops of blood from your finger can either charge or not charge it fully in power. But if you're saying to the universe, here's my essence, now move, if your mind isn't right by saying that and cutting your finger, if your emotions are messy, then that blood is just red liquid. It's not going to do anything. The actual sorcerer or warlock, they have to be sharp, internally clear, and not externally dramatic. This is called rasa in Vedic astrology. The emotional essence of the rasa in Indian aesthetics is what transforms transforms mere action into art. Likewise, in blood magic, significance will transform pain into ritual charge. So the blood has to mean something. If it's spilled mindlessly, then they've weakened the morphic imprint. But if it's spilled with clarity, it echoes through subtle worlds. Blood is the soma shadow. Soma is the divine plasma, the memory through the moon's current. In Vedic mystical language, blood is a tamasic element of sama. It's the moon fluid of immortality. Where soma is luminous, it is ethereal and cool. It is called the blood of the gods. Blood being plasma to us, how humans from a physical sense see it. Blood is often less dense, is earthen, is countercharged because it's warm, red, and magnetic. But plasma and human or animal blood both carry life through different fields of frequency. Soma, which is the blood of the gods, it feeds the mind and the soul of human beings and animals. So the moon currents actually feeds our mind and our soul and direct us to either move a certain way or think a certain way. They say on full moons, the most ambulances is out in different cities. That's because the blood of soma is bleeding through the moon's current into our minds. It feeds the body. It also feeds spells and rituals. But blood, soma in human blood or animal blood are both ritual substances. Both are sacred fluids. One flows from the moon or the gods, one flows from the self. So they are mirrored to each other. And they're a type of libation that's utilized in certain witch rituals, which I'll get into in a second, how to use that. In Yotish understanding, a tithi, which is a lunar phase, determines the density and charge of the soma in the etherical field. When you work with blood, you are hijacking the charged plasma ether of the moon, and you're redirecting it through your own body's iron matrix. In Krishna Paksha, which is the waning moon, that is optimal for sacrifice to the elite because the plasma is now withdrawing and is returning back to the source of the monad. So blood spilled in Krishna Paksha during a certain nakshatra phase, especially Mars amplified K2, it ties to the ancestral fields in the void. During Shukla Paksha, the waxing moon, the blood is better now for power gain, manifestation, and attraction as soma is expanding and the bloodshed is riding the current of becoming. The modern Kabbalists or the Sabbateans use this type of things to project a complex system of what's called the Parsavim, the faces of modular configurations of divine intelligence, where they're using interdimensional operating systems, the Zira pin, the Arika pin, the Abba and Ima. I can't even get into all of that, but I can show you how the Sabbateans use it in Lyrianic Kabbalistic science with blood rituals. The book I do want you to get is by Asa West called Witch Blood Rising. Excellent book right now to study, to understand some of these cycles and how certain people like Marina Abramovich and what's that girl named Michelle Lamy, the witches of Hollywood. These are the Sabbatean inverts of what the witch energy is. That's their cycles. But in Asa West's book, she's dropping some knowledge. Now she goes off the edge a little bit. You got to know how much to absorb, but she is dropping some good knowledge up in there. So one thing is they identify witches all over the world based on something called the devil's mark, which is a nickel-sized birthmark on the arm or other parts of the body in some cases. And Asa is speaking on these birthmarks, these moles, or these trauma scars as literal sigils sewn into a person's body. Medieval theology saw the body as a battleground for good and evil, and a birthmark or mole became a site where the devil had written his signature on a woman's body or a male's body, but mainly women. So any deviation from normal flesh was interpreted by the church as a corruption or violation. That means the body itself is the original grimoire. And when there's witch blood running through a person, it leaves signs, visible or invisible. So you don't have to tap into it. It's going to tap into you. And it's called hemoplasmic encodes. The witch's mark is a etheric genetic encryption of soul voltage running underneath the skin of the person. It's a blood-borne trait generationally that's psychic or energetic to the person's traits. What makes a person a witch, you may ask? How does someone turn from an ordinary person into an uncanny creature of legend? The witch blood is the numinous spark that flares in a person's brain stem, which is a calling that anyone can answer. It's like a lightning bolt that can hit any skull. But the witch blood, it snakes through the meridians of the earth first, flowing towards those who can perceive it. So it's another form of plasma through that soma, but now is in the telluric currents of the earth geomantically, witches can feel it, and it rises through the body of the living soil. So witch blood, they can tap, a person who has it can tap into it. And if you answer the call, you step into a life that's often lonely and painful as it is beautiful. If you ignore that call, you may spend years of your life ignoring the deepest need of your soul and still suffer the ostracizing that you were hoping to escape. But if you have witch blood, you're a mark, whether you embrace it or not. So the earth is now calling witches to return to the craft. It's called in a chapter out of Asa's book, the rain return, the climate calling. So now witches are believing with this climate collapse with all of the HARP technologies that they're wounding the earth ecologically, and the earth's wounds is shared psychically through trauma with the witch. So the planet's blood, as is being drained, witches feel this on a cellular and ritual level. So witches prototypically are weather feelers. They have a eco-telepathy, which links the earth's wounds to the witch, suggesting that witches are rising or witches are coming back, or Sibyls are coming back to the planet itself because the earth is calling them back through its decay. Remember, water is a living entity of memory. Rain is a psychic baptism, and a drought is a ritual exile. So this is called the Kalunga line in Palo Mayombe. It's a form of hydroplasmic scalar memory. The rain is a blood analog, and the planet uses rain to summon a bloodline awareness of souls, and it signals when the planetary field needs witches, warlocks to conduct a vibrational repair. But the elite are recruiting these people, just like in the Institute, people with certain gifts. They hijack the calling of the earth and they do a inversion ritual of it. They take people with these psychic gifts and they convert them into Illuminati weapons. So that's what's occurring now. Witches know and understand ecstasy as a lost language. Robert A. Johnson wrote a book called Ecstasy is a Lost Language. And he has a chapter on these witches. He calls it a sacred rupture is when a witch feels a ecstatic experience where the self dissolves. And when the self dissolves inside of a, let's say, psychically gifted person instead of saying witch, that means in a person, a higher archetype possesses the vessel. In the book, this is a callback to the mystical root of all spiritual experience, is rooted in ancient ritual and archetypal psychology, and is the forgotten rites of Dionysus. Dionysus represents the archetype of ecstasy because Dionysus shatters the neat compartments of the mind and the ego. The god Dionysus does not abide order. He erupts it through repression. He is the primordial force of the divine irrational. And Robert Johnson emphasizes that this archetype is not evil or chaotic for his own sake, but it's a spiritual necessity. In modern terms, Dionysus is the daemon of the override, the one who forces a psychic jailbreak when your soul is too domesticated. So Johnson is explaining the return of these psychic valved people is mainly because the rejection of Dionysus has created a psychic illness. Because we've been exiled from ecstasy so long, we invite other things. And for the earth to filter out who gets the psychic gifts and who becomes a part of the loose harvesting that, you know, the elite is flipping on the people with the psychic gifts by bombarding us with these different frequency waves, the nanotech, the AI systems. We are inviting a addiction plane of depression and violence, or a counter consumerism to take its place. The Dionysian element has to be honored to erupt the pathology of what's occurring. So we've locked the wild god in the basement that the witches used to contact in the forest. And now Dionysus is coming back to break out through the trauma cycles, the people who do the weekend bending, and the part of us that feels nothing unless it's on fire. It's a divine mode of being inside of us, because ecstasy is also in Christian mysticism of a holy tearing that pierces the ego like a blade. Ecstasy to spiritual people, as well as people that's in the Christendom, ecstasy means standing outside of oneself. That's all it means. So ecstasy, this is a note, means standing outside of oneself. The ecstasy of love or suffering or God is to transcend ego containment. So ecstasy is not comfort, it's possession by the real, and it burns away the false. That's what people are avoiding in today's world. They're being truly possessed by the divine. They aren't being possessed by the divine, so they create weak substitutes. Weak substitutes is called ersatz ecstasy, is another form of ecstasy, which is a toxic imitation of the divine. The ersatz ecstasies of the modern world is entertainment, drugs, lust, or social media attention, which Robert Johnson says is the simulations of the divine that never comes. So they're trying to mimic joy, but it cannot transform through it, because the technological or chemical shortcuts to what is used is not found in the original ritual initiation of flow. You cannot reach the sacred without sacrificing something in your life. Now, they're not talking about people. They're talking about other means of addictions and patterns. So if you want the wine of the gods, if you want to drink the wine of the gods, it cannot come without the death of the ego. So ritual is designed to contain the fire of ecstasy. You don't just invoke Dionysus. You must build a space that you can survive him. That means dancing, fasting, drumming, sometimes sexual aspects, holy laughter, discordianism, holy laughter. Sometimes you need to laugh at shit, even when it's not funny. And without these rituals, Dionysus will not come. He will come in another way as a psychosis. Now, Panic was trying to instill this, but he was using a book called Cyclomancy that I want you guys to look in a different way. We're getting ready to close out in a second, by the way. Get the book called Cyclomancy by Frank Rudolph. The Secret of Psychic Power Control, speaking of all of these Institute TV series and things. Cyclomancy is turning your body into a spiritual railgun. How you twist the coil of the self, prime it with the breath, and blast it with intention of the field. This is the art of what's called somatonetics. I'll talk about it on Patreon. You must learn how to inhale through the nose and shoot out that torsion field correctly. So hold your breath, tense the specific muscle zones, your abs or your pelvic floor, mentally spin a vortex of energy through you, and exhale with the visualization of power surging out of it. What is the result? You generate a psychic surge that radiates outward, just like a coiled spring being released. This isn't nothing but what I told you it was: the nin, the zen, and the zing or the zai. This is all on Patreon, by the way, covering the nin, the zen, and the zing. This is the basic formula of projecting psychic influence, telepathy, charm, or the force of willpower in the auric field. And I've been practicing this stuff, man. I can't wait to share some stuff with you guys on Patreon. So cyclomancy ain't nothing but the nin, the zen, and the zing that I've been telling you about. Cyclomancy uses stalked, rotating mental images through the torus field to send commands telepathically or telepathically. There's also cyclomancy of charm. That means spiraling energy in your eyes, spiraling torus fields in your hands, in your voice. The spinning will influence others' minds. In cyclomancy of movement, walking and standing while the spiral dances underneath your feet to stir up energy reservoirs, which is the Kundalini's analog. And then cyclomancy of will, focusing your intent on a whirling sun in your chest or your forehead and sending it outward as a raw command. Each technique means that you have to tap into the clenching of your muscle. You have to project the right breathing through yoga. You have to condition the mind in your meditation, and you have to visualize the spin. Frank Rudolph is literally telling you, if you spin the wheel of your subconscious into motion, it will spin the world for you. That's deep as shit. So the pineal gland, the pituitary, the hypothalamus are the targets of these energies. By swirling the energy in the body, in the mind, you massage these glands into higher function. And it's a psychic motor stimulation. The brain is full of latent generator coils that just need to be motion triggered pressure when you fire it up through the spin. When you spin, you spark these generator coils. So all of this is achievable through spin, breath control, and directed mental force. That is the foundation of psychotronic warfare that these other people are doing on us. So you better be learning it now in these Babylonian times. All right, family, I'm getting to the end of the video. I have to go ahead and get up out of here. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Hope you enjoyed the information today. I want to go deeper into this on Patreon. Make sure you follow me on Patreon or subscribe to the patreon.com/THE_spiritual shade room, the True Occult newspaper. Like I said earlier, make a donation to the Cash App $spiritual shade room. $spiritual shade room. Please make a donation. Keeps the lights on, keeps everything flowing. I will be doing a Twitter space in a day or two. So check me out on Twitter at Aniosaru to join us. You also are able to come up on stage and ask questions live on a Twitter space. And we will have Patreon class to conclude the week on what we built on today. So hope the information was fruitful. I would say A Rimpoya, A Oshulu, Ashe to the ancestors. See you guys next time. Peace.